Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about all things electric cars.
Turn a 10 piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing in. Turn a 10 piece to a 20 quick. I got money busting out the money clip. Make a call and hit another lick. Someone get the money counter, I can keep on thumbing in. Eyes on the money, my brothers got my back.
I'm going to do a drive test and just talk about my experiences having had this Tesla Model 3 for the last 6 months. I'm going to talk you through the modifications that I've made to make it a personalized vehicle for myself. Most importantly, I'm going to talk to you about how you can achieve owning a car like this for a fraction of the price of an equivalent petrol supercar, and what my experiences are from switching from a 911 Turbo S to a Tesla Model 3 and how they compare. Right, so I switched from this car, or switched to this car from a Porsche. I had the 911 Turbo S, which was absolutely savage. It was, I think, 2.8 seconds to 60. So switching out of that, I never imagined that I would actually enjoy driving this car in comparison to that car, but I actually prefer it. Like, now you're comparing a 200k supercar to what is essentially a 65k car list price, and I actually prefer it. Like, I don't miss the Porsche at all. I know lots of people watching this, whether they're like ideal or potential clients or current clients of mine, you know, entrepreneurs, business owners, mainly within health and fitness, or you're just watching this because you're interested in, you know, Teslas or the tax treatment of Teslas, which we'll come on to. There's always this thing around, if you're successful in business, then you define that by the things that you've bought. And I was like that too, right? But I had the 911 Turbo S, and do you know what? I was saying this to a client of mine earlier. When I turned up at places and I could see people staring at me and the kids would run over and say, "Cool car," it actually made me feel really self-conscious, and I felt like, you know, you look like a beep for spending all this money on a car when you could have done something else with that money, right? It didn't make me feel the way I thought it would make me feel. I really love driving the car, but I actually now like to, and this is just a personal thing, I like to have something that blends in, but I know can beat pretty much anything on the road. If you race this against the Turbo S, under most conditions it will win, because the center of gravity is so low and it is heavy. It might be slightly on paper slower to 60, but in most conditions the wheels will spin of the Porsche, whereas this will just launch. I've never managed to get the wheels to spin in this car. So I just wanted to talk you through the tax treatment really briefly of a car like this, Tesla electric vehicle, versus the car that I had before, which is a Porsche 911 Turbo S. So I know they're not going to cost the same per month, but just for ease in this example, let's imagine the Tesla costs £1,000 a month and the Porsche is £1,000 a month. So ignoring VAT and ignoring kind of payroll taxes, this is how it works. You pay the £1,000 out of your business account for the Tesla, you get roughly £200 corporate tax relief, so it costs you £800, okay? Let's assume, like me, you're using it a little bit for personal and a little bit for business, so you can't claim any of the VAT back. If it was purely business, you could also claim the VAT back, which means it's only really costing you just over £600, okay? So even better. Now, if you have a Porsche and it's costing you £1,000, you have to take out nearly £1,500 out of your business in order to pay your self-assessment tax and be left with the £1,000 to pay for the Porsche. So in those two scenarios, the Tesla's either costing you 600, just over 600 if you can claim the VAT back, or 800 if not, and the Porsche is costing you 1,500. So in either scenario, it's basically nearly double, okay? And like I've said in my review videos, I actually love this car more. So something for you to think of. If you want me to cover that in loads of detail, go through spreadsheets, all of that stuff, hit me up in the comments and I'll go through a video with you on screen where we talk through exactly how that works and I'll show you in a Google sheet. I'm not sure who's going to go for this, but I'll show you in a Google sheet exactly how the tax relief works, different scenarios, and I can also go into different ways to fund the car. Like if we talk about the ethical view, right now, I think that all you're doing by buying an electric car is across the whole cycle of life of the car, you're moving the pollution from the towns and cities to where the gas and coal-fired power stations are, right? But renewable electricity is coming out more and more, getting more and more prevalent. So if you change your home electricity supply to one that is come from total renewables, which you can do, every time you charge your car, you're not using any fossil fuels whatsoever. There's zero emissions. And so people can't use the argument that, well, all you're doing is moving the emissions from the town to the country. Okay, so that's that. So what we're going to do is show Reese a launch start in the Tesla, just to see his reaction. Now, I don't know how to do launch control on this, so we're just going to do a regular stop, slam on the accelerator and go. You watch his face and see if you think it's fast or not. How was that?
I feel like my brain is back there.
Your face has gone a bit red.
Oh, it's probably
It makes you feel. It makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And I think that new little noise it does is like a software update, because it never used to make any noise. Now it makes like a little spaceship noise.
Yeah. Like you're saying, like with range, when you go out, everyone's worried about, it's only 400 mile. But what trip are you going to do where 400 mile on the motorway where you're not going to stop for 20 minutes?
Exactly, yeah. I went to visit clients up north. I think this one with the performance, with the wheels and things that I've done, you'll get about 300 miles range.
Yeah.
I've never planned a trip. I can go from my house, which is in the Midlands, to Cornwall, St Ives, where we planned to go, without charging. I just had to check, like, did the hotel have a charger?
Yeah.
Which they all do, to get back. But then the point that we were talking about is I could just stop for 20 minutes and put 200 miles on at a Tesla charger. So I think like this fear around running out of charge, it's probably worse now to have petrol and diesel, because like we saw with petrol pumps and everyone running out of fuel, that's going to become more and more prevalent, right? Whereas there's always ways to make electricity. I would love to have a McLaren. I've always had this thing about, I'd love to own a McLaren. So I think if I've got 2 electric cars and I'm doing maybe 2,000 miles a year in a McLaren, and the thing we talk about this in terms of finances, if you buy a car and you understand cars, you can buy a car that's a supercar that's done a ton of its depreciation, that for whatever reason, maybe it's special edition or they don't make it anymore, that will either hold its value or it will go up in value.
I think the R8, the old V8 model of the R8, is an incredible car, but now you can buy them for like 20, 30 grand.
Yep.
And back then they were like 100k.
Yeah, so that's like not a good investment. My client came over earlier, Georgie, she's got an Audi TT. I'm saying to her, don't sell that. Renovate it, like get a ceramic coating on it, sort your wheels out, and keep it, because they don't make that car anymore. They're going to cease production. Hey guys, right, so I am going to show you around my pride and joy. Just talk you through the little bits that I've done to the car just to make it a little bit different. And I hope, I mean, it's still not the most attractive car from the front, but I feel like I've made it its best self. So first thing I've done is lowered the car on I-back suspension. What that's done, it's stiffened up the ride, but it's just made it feel and handle like it's on rails. Absolutely incredible. And that was like a cheap upgrade. It's not full coilovers, it's literally just the springs. So it's dropped it by about 40 mil. So you can see it sits nice and low. then got these Vossen wheels. They're hybrid forged wheels, which means they're not as expensive, like you're talking 12, 15 grand for a set of full forged wheels. These are, I think, between 3 and 4K, but they're super light. I think they're something like 5 kilos lighter per wheel. So although it doesn't have like the aerodynamics of the Tesla wheel, it will actually increase the range because they're so light and they're so strong. So coupled with those wheels, I've put the Pirelli Pilot Sport tyres on, which are super sticky. So for me, I don't do a massive amount of miles. This is purely a work car with an odd personal journey. Going to the gym and back mostly is my trip, but they're super sticky, and for my mileage, they'll still last like a ton of time. So the other things I've done, if I walk you around, is at the moment, we've just been out and shot some drone footage. So there's quite a lot of debris on the front of the car, but I originally ceramic coated this car. I just want to give a shout out to the guys at NLD Detailing. We'll put their link in the description. These guys did an amazing job. I went for ceramic coating, which looked great, but I realized just because it's a black car and I'm driving the kids to football and gravel tracks and things like that, that PPF, so the plastic coating, would suit me better in the long term. So I've sent it back to NLD. They've put front PPF on the front bumper. So there's PPF on here, PPF on here, PPF on the bonnet, PPF on the wing mirrors, forgot they were they're called for a second, PPF on the rear bumper, and you can't quite see it, but there's PPF on the arch here. So what was happening was the stones were hitting on the rear arch, taking all the paint off, because the only problem really with this Tesla versus say a Porsche is the paint is shocking. So when you get a car, if you take it for a ceramic coating, they will measure the paint, they'll measure the thickness in microns. Typically a car should be about 150 microns. This was, I think, 75. So what they do when they ceramic coat it, the guys at NLD actually paint corrected it first. It had scratches all over when it arrived from China. It had kind of like, if you take your car to a really rubbish car wash, they'll get swirl marks in it. You'll see those kind of circular marks. They I've actually got some content that maybe we can fit into this video showing what they actually did, but they basically fixed all of the paint. I'm not sure what the technical terms are for all the tools that they used, but they fixed all the paint, they took all the swirls out, made it perfect, and then they put a ceramic coating over the top. Now all I've done as a step 2 is put plastic protection film, PPF, over. What that does, which is really cool, is it's still just as shiny. You can see like it's a super shiny car. It actually self-heals. So if I hit a branch or I get a stone chip or something like that, it will dent the PPF first, and that PPF, when the sun hits it, it will automatically correct itself. So just wanted to give a shout out to the guys that helped make my version of the Tesla possible. Firstly, NLD Detailing for doing all the PPF and the awesome work on the ceramics. Secondly, JM Valeting, who are based in and around Solihull in the West Midlands. I can't clean my car anywhere near as well as these guys clean my car, so I just don't even try. Like, I enjoy cleaning my own car, but they are so good at it, I don't even bother anymore. And lastly, the guys that did the suspension sourced the wheels from me because they had to be imported from America, fitted the wheels, and just went to this real level of detail. So what they were talking about was, you can't just put tires on any old wheels. You have to think about the circumference of the wheel, the rolling radius, and actually put some proper thought and detail into the design. So the guys at String Theory Performance over in Stratford-upon-Avon or around that area were awesome. So I'll put the links to those in the description. I don't have any financial incentive. I just wanted to shout them out for all the good work that they've done. So if you are interested in modifying your Tesla, then I'd recommend you go and talk to the guys there.